All right, I want to welcome on my next guest. We got longtime NFL fullback Lorenzo Neal. Lo, how's everything going?
Hey, it's going great. How we doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. As well as we can do right now, especially I'm glad to see the country sort of moving forward. I'm glad people are starting to wear masks, but hopefully we can get back to what was normal sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. You see, I got mine right here. Here we
Hey.
go. See, I'm prepared. I always drive with the mask. I always have the mask. I'm not one of those individuals that they're driving, they have their mask on. I'm like, I don't get it. What are you driving in your car for with your mask on? I don't get that one. So I don't drive with the mask on while I'm in the car. But when I get out and go into an establishment, I'll definitely practice safe distance to make sure everyone else is safe.
My favorite is when you flip on the news and you see the person doing their live shot and you know there's nobody anywhere near them and they're wearing the mask. Right. I'm like, what are you doing? So it's wild. It's wild.
Exactly.
The best I've seen is about like a month ago. I was going to the grocery store and we were waiting in line and somebody walked out and I'm looking at him, what the hell is this guy got in his face? He had a sock tied around his face. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with that. No, you're doing too much. You're doing too much.
No, too much.
Yeah. So I kind of want to ask you a little bit about your early career. So how did you end up at Fresno State?
Well, I'm from the Central Valley, Lemoore, California, which is 30 miles south of Fresno. So it was close to be able to play in front of my parents, in front of my mom, dad, brothers, and sisters. So it was really cool going to Fresno State. So a lot of people from the big L town, Lemoore, would drive up to Fresno. It's the big town. It's the big city, as we like to say. Fresno's, about 400,000, but the surrounding area is over 1 million. So when you went to Fresno State, you were in the biggest town in the Central Valley, so Fresno was big time. So that's where we had to go. You want to go shopping, get for nice clothes. You'd either have to go to Fresno or LA, to go get really nice clothes. And so it's a small community. Fresno's not a huge town, but it's growing. It continues to grow. And the Bulldogs, they put themselves on the map. It's a great program.
Absolutely. And so did you wrestled too, in addition to football?
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know. When you're young, dumb, and they say, Fuller, you know what? You can try to think you're stronger than anyone. And it's crazy. So I did both sports, and it was really tough because I could never get in great shape after the football season. Wrestling would already be started, and they already have about 20, 30 matches underneath their belt. So I'm out because I'd have to rest to use all my minutes injury timeout to try to catch my breath because wrestling is such a tough sport. Still was an All-American. I was ranked number 3 in the country my senior year. I placed my junior year. You know what? A lot of people say, you know what? You play football, you play basketball, you play golf. There's one sport you don't play. A couple sports you don't play. You don't play boxing and you don't play wrestling. Those are sports you don't say, oh, I played. No, that's a tough sport. It's you and another individual. It's one-on-one. You can't blame it on the quarterback. You can't blame it on the offensive lineman. It's just you and another individual out there, mano-a-mano. So really, really tough.
The true you took on a sumo wrestler?
Yeah. The big fella was in a sumo wrestler. Hey, you see that? They wasn't ready for that. You see your boy still got them rocks. You see him yoked up. You see him still swole, but it was a lot of fun. They put me on the diaper. I was a diaper dandies, and so they threw the little sumo thing on, wrapped me up. So it was pretty weird, butt cheeks hanging out. So my son still gives me a hard time. He's like, Dad, and I have to say, son, you still can't handle me. So my son, he's at the University of Purdue right now.
Cool.
Bowler up, hammer down. He's a bowler maker. He's coming in for his 5th year senior.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's a defensive lineman. He's got a good chance of playing on Sunday. So just graduated in 4 years, but still coming back for that 5th year because he got injured a year. So he had redshirt a year. So excited about this coming year too.
That's awesome. So what point at Fresno did it hit you that you had a legit shot at the NFL?
I think second year, I had a good coach, Jim Sweeney, and he was always telling me, he said, Lorenzo, you got a chance to play on Sundays. He said, you're special, you're big, you're strong, you're physical, and you just got that it factor. And you don't think anything. You're like, all right, thank you. And then you keep pounding away, you keep hearing what everyone keeps saying to you, and you just start listening, and all of a sudden, some scouts start coming around. You're like, man, I do have a chance. And it's very, very exciting time for any young man who has, dreams to go to the next level. But it was a fun time. College, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was a great time, great experience, great growing experience. Get to meet so many different people. And it's a lot of fun. When you get into pros, it's fun, but it's a job.
Yeah. What was your draft process like?
Well, then it was 12 rounds, so it was different. You know, it was 12 rounds when I got drafted. But the first 5 rounds were, I think, 7 rounds, I think, was on Sunday, and then you had the next round was on Monday. So you had 7 rounds the first day, and I was 84th pick overall. So now it would have been like the 3rd round. I would thought it was crazy. So I'll go 4th round. But I get to my house in the morning. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. I talked to Kansas City Chiefs. They called me that morning and said, look, we're going to probably in the 2nd round, we're going to probably pick you if you're going to be there. We don't know if you're going to be available, but we love you. We want you to be a Chief. Hopefully you're going to be around in the 2nd round. So the draft starts, and I'm thinking hopefully I'll get drafted early. And then the 2nd round comes, and I was like, well, I'll go to Kansas City. I was kind of disappointed. Thought I was going to go in the 1st round, maybe 2nd, mid-2nd. And all of a sudden, the 2nd round comes, and I'm going to go Kansas City. They already talked to me this morning. They already called me. The pick comes around. They don't pick me. I'm like, oh, my God. And then 3rd round starts. They start picking, keep going. I don't go to the 3rd, and then I'm the 4th pick in the 4th round. I was like so disappointed, so hurt, so mad, but it made me play with that chip on the shoulder, and I think a lot of kids have that. But Kansas City Chiefs, they had a good pick. They didn't pick me. I was an all-pro, all-decade. But I'll tell you what, they picked a pretty good guy that they picked ahead of me, so I don't mind. After years later, we're still great friends. That's Will Shields. He was a pretty good offensive guard. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's interesting. And then, so what was it like? So when you went to New Orleans, you ever been there before?
No. I called my mom and said, Mom, you got to come stay with me. I'm scared. It was different. it was definitely different. Being from Lemoore, a small town, not having a lot of different people, just different. Being in New Orleans, that deep South, was different. It was crazy. So I get to New Orleans, start dating this girl, have fun, start dating, just hanging out. Whatever, dated the first girl I'm trying to date or get to know. She's like, you want to come over to my house for dinner? Yeah. I'm like, what? And she goes, but I got to go make groceries. Yeah. I'm like, they answered the question for you. So it's like, it's crazy. So you go to New Orleans, you're like, what the heck? So so the language out there, you listen to people that I'm like, yeah, but it's just crazy. So some of the things that they say, it's just kind of weird. So what was it like going to New Orleans? It was very, very different. It's very unique. Met some wonderful people in New Orleans. Bought my first home in New Orleans. Love New Orleans. A Big Easy. A lot of fun.
You ever see? What was the first experience like when you saw an alligator?
Well, you know what? First experience, like, oh my God, this is the deep South. I'm seeing an alligator going on. Brought my family in and did some get on a swamp tour, and then I started eating alligator. That was the first time I ate alligator. You can eat it there in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. Drive through daiquiris, it's crazy. New Orleans is an absolutely different animal. A lot of fun, crazy town. It's a great place to visit.
Yeah, no, see, alligators, I'm not too intimidated by it. It's the boars. The boars scare the hell out of me because they're just giant furry pigs and they're running 30 miles an hour, and I'm like, they're going to catch me. So I'm good.
Absolutely.
It's terrifying. And yeah, so then back to football. So after you sort of got going, then you got hurt?
Yeah, rookie year, the 2nd game of the season, I broke my ankle, so I missed that year. And that year did a lot of soul searching, a lot of reflecting, and I went from being a guy who's running the ball, 20, 30 times, 15, 20 times a game to not even carrying it all. Went to more of a blocking back, so lost some of my mobility. But I remember Jim Moore calling me in the office and said, hey, you got to make your mind up. What do you want to do? He said, you can play in this league 10 years, a long time, but you got to be concentrated and dedicate yourself to being a fullback, and you could have a great career. It was great advice that he gave me, and I ended up going and playing 16 years at that position.
Was there any hesitation on your part initially? Like, no, I'll be fine.
No, you think you're going to be fine, but you could tell in the tail. It was the ankle never came back 1,000% like I was. It couldn't cut as well, but it was a good move. It was a good move for me. I had a great career. Met a lot of people. Got to play during the 2 decades. I had so much fun while doing it.
That's awesome. And then so you went on IR. So was it what point during that offseason did they tell you they wanted you to make the move? And did you have to change anything up at your normal offseason regimen?
No, I always knew how to block and stuff because at Fresno State I was a fullback, but I played both positions at Fresno State, so it wasn't a huge transition. The biggest thing is that you have to be selfish, because you're not going to be touching the ball, so you got to understand what your job is and what you're there to do. And as long as you get that down, you're okay. As long as you know it's not about you, it's about sacrificing for, your teammates and helping them, get their glory, and you get the glory. I blocked for a lot of great backs, 1,000-yard rushers, Work Dunn, Mike Allstott, Ray Rice, LaRon McClain, Eddie George, Corey Dillon, LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, I was really, really blessed and really fortunate to block for some Hall of Famers. Probably it's going to be a couple more on that list that I blocked for, probably Hall of Famers.
Absolutely. So after 4 seasons in New Orleans, how did you end up with the Jets?
It was free agent. Became a free agent. Did 4 years there, and I was a free agent, and wanted to play for the Big Tuna. So Bill Parcells and Adrian Morrell had 1,000 yards blocking, running behind me that year. Adrian Morrell did. So it was really good. So he was one of the first guys. He's the first guy that I got 1,000-yard block for. And then I got traded to Tampa Bay, and that's where it was great. Me and Allstott and Work Done, had a great time there. And from there, I went to the Titans, and that's where I met great Eddie George, and went to the Super Bowl. There and had a great time just being there for several years. Then went to Cincinnati, the Bongos, and that was tough. That was tough going to an organization and just we just couldn't get it together. Had some good talent, but just didn't know how to win. The culture wasn't there how to win. So that was tough. Those 2 years was tough. And then San Diego, Marty Schottenheimer came and saved me, and we from there just took off with LT, one of the greatest, if not top 3, top 5 running backs ever to play the game. It was amazing playing with him and Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees. I had a great time my career in San Diego. And then in year 16, going to Baltimore, losing to Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship. We had a lot of fun there too. It was just amazing ride, man. It was an amazing ride.
Going back to the Chargers, at what point did you realize that that Tomlinson was different?
Oh, I watched him play. And playing against him when I was on the teams, and then playing with him on the team. It's just watching lightning in the bottle. The guy was just had something, just another gear, so elusive and just so tough, and just amazing player. But he's a better man than he is player, believe that or not.
And then speaking of Phil Rivers, what was your first experience like meeting him?
Philip was young, young guy. I was my 8th or 9th year, so Philip was young, and I remember he's like, "Man, Lo, I don't know how long I can't believe how long you're playing." Now I call him and we still talk, and I'm like, "Yeah, look at that. Now look how long you're playing. See how it is. It's crazy." He goes, "Man, Lo, you always told me." I always just tell him, "Keep living, man." He's like, "What?" I said, "Just keep living." And now he's like, now he tells the young guys, keep living, you'll get there. And it's crazy just how life is, man. One day you're high school, grade school, middle school, and then all of a sudden college, and now look, man, you're in the real world. You're realizing, man, and it starts to go faster, and you can't wait to get out of great middle high school, junior high, and you get in high school, you're like, man, okay, I can't wait for college. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, can't wait to get in the real world. And all of a sudden you're like, man, then you start getting older and older, and you're like, man, what have you been waiting for? You can't wait and trying to speed up time, and all this time you're rushing to die. So enjoy it. That's my advice, is tell people to slow down, enjoy life, enjoy the ride. You only live once. You only get one chance. You only get one shot. And you're going to make some mistakes. But as long as you try, and as long as you get up, and as long as you attack the world, as long as you got God, family, and just know that, that if you're here to serve and you keep those things close to you, you can be successful in this world.
What are you expecting from Phil this year in Indy?
I think he's going to be solid. I think they're going to win 8 to 9 games. I think Phil Rivers, I think he's going to have a good year. It's going to be interesting. They got a pretty decent offense. Yeah. Those guys, tough offensive line. They got to see what they're going to do. I think they're coached well. It's going to be good. It's going to be a tough division though.
Absolutely. And then, so for the NFL now, who is, in your opinion, who's the best fullback in football?
Well, I think Cal Juszczyk. I love the guy. He's a good friend of mine. I think he's tough, physical guy, catch the ball. He's an Army Swiss knife. I love what he brings to the game.
That's awesome. And then, so towards the end of your career, at what point did you realize, like, all right, I'm kind of ready to hang it up?
Toward the end, about year 14 or 15, and just like, you're reacting. You're like, okay, I got to get there. So now you're thinking about getting there. Hey, I got to make that. Okay, I got to think about that. But suppose when you're young, you just go, just react. Now it's just you got to think about when you're going to go, take the right angle. So around about 14 years or 14 and 15, you start to say, okay, I got to do some more to maintain, to play at this high level. So and then just start getting a little sore. You don't bounce back as fast, so you start to feel it.
And then how did you get into broadcasting?
Just having the opportunity to always did some of it when I was playing the game, and just the opportunity opened up, the doors opened up. So it was a really smooth transition, and enjoy doing radio and some TV, and keeps you around the game, keeps you young, and around the game, and get to see a lot of the players, a lot of guys you played against, a lot of guys now that are coaching or GMs or whatever it may be. John Lynch, we played together and played against, and it's just awesome to see the success he's having.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got one last question for you. I know you were talking about the mask earlier. So when everything sort of goes back to normal and there's no mask required, whether that's a vaccine or we get past it, what's the first thing you're looking forward to doing?
You know what? Believe it or not, I love to go to a show. Love to take the family and go to a movie, man. Just sit back and get my big Diet Coke and popcorn and butter and just chill and enjoy it. And I love when the gyms open back up. I be tired of just working out at home. I want to get back into the gym and start making it happen too.
Did drive-ins do it for you, or it's got to be the real movie theater?
No, it's got to be the real one.
Awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. So for people that don't follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Just go to Lorenzo Neal. Just go to Lorenzo Neal. That's my Instagram, and follow me. And it's always in for a thrill. So it's a lot of fun. So if you want to follow me, just follow Lorenzo Neal, number 41. Lorenzo Neal 41.
Appreciate it, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for chatting for a few minutes. I'm glad everybody's doing well. This has been a blast.
No worries. We'll do it again soon.
Appreciate it.